And welcome back, Idiot Squared viewers. This week, we are going to be discussing the future of sleep, longevity, lifespan, anti-aging. Are we ever going to die with this future breakthrough? I don't think so. I think we could possibly live indefinitely. But yeah, we're going to discuss that. There hasn't really been a breakthrough in sleep for a very long time. If you think about it, we still sleep on beds. We sleep with pillows. It's not necessarily the most optimal. We have a lot of people with a lot of sleep problems, and sleep is when your body repairs, so it's a pretty damn important thing. But we're going to jump straight in. Oscar, how are you this week?
I'm doing well, bro. What about you? I never ask you, by the way. You always ask me, and for some reason, I always just jump into it without even asking you guys. So sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm perma good. That's just, you can just know without a doubt, I'm good. But thank you for asking. Yeah. So yeah, have you ever thought about sleep, maybe the future of sleep, what it might hold? What's sleep going to look like in 100 or 1,000 years?
No, I've never thought about that. I just assumed, sleep is what it is, and how can we really make advancements in that space? I understand that we can we can progress in understanding how to get quality sleep. Some people even say that sleeping is a talent that you can actually mold, you can perfect. There's a lot of different ways of doing that, right? You can look at your diet, when you eat. You can look at physical activity. You can look at, minerals, vitamins, intake. You can look at what you do beforehand. How much light exposure do you have? Also your mental state, if you're having anxiety or you're going through something's on your mind, you're working a lot, ways to sort of get away from that and just try and focus on your sleep. Meditation. So there's lots of ways that we can sort of improve our sleep and have good sleeping habits. For example, going to bed and waking up at the same time every day. That's a really good habit to have. Trying to stay away from, doing all-nighters, for example. I know Sugar Sean O'Malley, he credits a lot of his success to being really good at sleeping. He's mentioned that many times on his podcast. So I think that's interesting. If an athlete says that if they're attributing most of their success to how good they are at sleeping, I think that's something that people should maybe pay attention to, investigate. Especially if you're a very active person or you're just doing a lot and your body needs those 6 to 9 hours or the 8 hours, whatever the recommendations are, to be good quality sleep. So yeah, I think I never really thought of the future of sleep, what that might look like, just sort of how we can currently become better at sleeping.
Yeah. What about you? I agree. Yeah. So this is something that I've recently been thinking about. I agree. I don't think many people do think about this. I think we just take for granted what it is. But recently I've been thinking about the future of it, mainly because of a bunch of stuff we've been looking at on this podcast, a bunch of stuff with Michael Levin, the bioelectrics, the ion channel modulators, and a whole bunch of stuff like that. But you're right, with the athletes. So LeBron James he's mentioned many times that he sleeps 10 to 12 hours a day. And sleep is essentially consolidation and repair. So it's an essential part of being a human. It's when we form memories, it's when we repair our bodies. And it's a fantastic thing. It's entirely necessary. We need this to sort of recoup the damages from the day and then consolidate the learnings from the day as well. So if you're not getting good quality sleep, it really affects your physical health. It also affects your memory, your ability to retain information, make new connections and prune connections that aren't as useful. And so it's incredibly important. It's probably it's up there with being one of the most important things. So like if you're going to be training a lot, you also want to make sure you're getting adequate rest and recovery, i.e. sleep, to support that work, right? So yes, if you listen to athletes, they'll typically, like very successful ones, will have a lot of sleep. But yeah, it's fascinating, right? So there hasn't really been a breakthrough in sleep for a very, very, very long time, right? Like, so we sort of probably evolved sleeping on the ground or in trees and then on the ground and then around like that. And then we probably had some sort of woven mat that we might have slept on. And then we progressed to having mattresses and pillows. And since then, there hasn't been that many breakthroughs. We probably put springs in the mattresses and, that kind of stuff. But since then, it's pretty similar. And so one thing I experienced when I was bodybuilding and got rather big is how hard it is to sleep. Like, if I rolled onto my side, my arm would go to sleep. Obviously, that's not good because it means it's not getting the blood flow that it requires to heal and repair that part of my body. If you get too big, it can impact the amount of oxygen that you can intake. You can end up with sleep apnea. The same thing exists for diabetes or diabetics or people that are obese. They also suffer from sleep apnea, and it wreaks havoc. It means that you wake up, you don't feel as fresh. You can't consolidate memories as well. It has massive effects on your metabolism. It leads to long-term degradation of the body. And it's interesting because with fantastic sleep, or with imagined perfect sleep, right, we could essentially become immortal. Because if we're getting perfect sleep, our body is able to fully repair and recover and consolidate those memories from the day before. Then we start the day afresh, and we're not accumulating these error codes over time. And that's essentially what, leads to dis-ease or degradation of the body, is the accumulation of these sort of error codes or errors that occur in the body. So yeah, I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it in the context of a lot of Michael Levin's work with the bioelectrics and the ion channel modulators, and how the body or the cells our cells have memory. There is cellular memory of essentially what our body, the perfect version of our body could be or can be, right? And how so much of it is, manipulating that bioelectric field to get out of, to get out of the body's way and let it be what it wants to be, or let it be the perfect version of itself. Let those cells fully repair and align themselves according, to the plans of the body, so to speak, right? So I've been thinking about it, and I was like, the future of sleep is actually going to be pretty damn freaky. So I know you've watched The Matrix, but it's probably been a while since you last watched it. But essentially, I want you to envisage in your mind, the scene where they awaken Neo from the Matrix, and he wakes up in real life, and he's in one of those pods.
Yeah, with the liquid and...
Yeah. So it's going to sound kind of freaky, and it's going to be a little bit scary thinking of it that way, but that essentially is going to be the future of sleep, not like plugged into the Matrix or any of that kind of stuff. Like that could happen for sure. But it'll be a pod-like design where you're immersed in some sort of, solution that is full of these bioelectrics that will essentially provide all the nutrients, all the electrical potential and electrical signaling to fully repair and recover your body. And so this, to me, this is the ultimate, youth preserving sort of product that will be created. So the future of sleep will also be the future of anti-aging. Does that kind of make sense?
That sounds fucking crazy, right? In that scenario, are you then not needing to eat? Like, would you not have to eat then? Would eating just become something you do for pleasure?
Yeah, essentially. I think that's where it will head long term, over a long time scale. Definitely, I think that's where it will go, because it will just be so much more efficient to deliver the nutrients that way. So eating the way that we typically do it now will sort of become a thing of the past in the future, because it'll just be so much easier, more convenient, more ideal to just have those nutrients delivered at like a cellular level kind of thing. So essentially you'll be bathing in all of the things that your body needs to repair, recover, and to rejuvenate your body. So this is where things like limb regeneration, all of that stuff will start to happen. So you'll essentially bathe in a solution of these things each night or each day, whenever you choose to do this, and get up and go on your day feeling just the best that you possibly can.
Yeah, so that was going to be my next question was, do you see this as being a therapy thing that you do once in a while, or do you see this as being like a nightly thing that each night you get into this bath or this, pod of solution and sleep in there? Like, how do you see that? Because it's interesting, because people, like couples especially, I think they enjoy sleeping together. They feel like that togetherness, I suppose. And having someone next to you in bed, there's like this comforting effect. So it's interesting to see where this could go. But what do you think? Do you think it would be more as like a therapy thing that you do once in a while, or do you really think it could get as far as people just using it every night?
I think that it'll be an everyday thing. I think initially this is obviously only going to be available to the very wealthy. This will be a very expensive thing to start with, but over enough time, it will be that every human and biological human will essentially do this each day or each night. But it could get to the point where we don't need to have the same sleep-wake cycle that we currently do. It could be that this is so nourishing, so revitalizing, so rejuvenating that it kind of can do away with the circadian rhythm. And it could just be that you might do this whenever you need to do it, and then you can be up and aware or awake for multiple hours on end or multiple days on end. And because you can just go and bathe in this solution that will ultimately regenerate and rejuvenate you, you can then sort of be awake for more days and then just go and do this therapy.
Do you think that in this pod type scenario with the solution, is there going to be something else that is going to aid you to literally put you to sleep? Or do you think that you will still have to be in control of that you'll have to focus and put yourself to sleep still?
No. So this will, the way I see it, obviously short term, it won't be that good, but long term, it will definitely be that good. So what will happen is you'll get into your pod. You will have biometric scanning at like multiple scales, right? So from the bioelectric scale, maybe even down to the hypergraph scale, right? The subgraph level, all the way up to, like a physical level in terms of taking your temperature and your heartbeat and all of those other biomarkers. And what will happen is in this gel, those biometrics and the algorithms or the machine learning or AI will then start to fill that solution. Sorry. The AI will then start to fill that solution with the necessary nutrients, electrolytes, bioelectric or ion channel modulators to then start to align that bioelectric field perfectly to achieve the results that you're wanting. So memory consolidation, liver regeneration, cancer killing, cellular rejuvenation, all of those things. And so as it starts to fill that solution, while it's doing that, there will be subtle vibrations that permeate through that will start to oscillate your cells to a certain resonant frequency. You then might even have like a brain interface, like a Neuralink style chip sort of thing that, or even might not even have to be a Neuralink style chip. It could literally just be done through waves or through sound waves, electrical signals, all sorts of different things that will essentially get you into the perfect sleep. It will resonate your body to get to the perfect resonant frequency so that you have the ultimate deep sleep. Then on top of that, this is the craziest thing to think about, but then you could essentially pick dreams. You could work with your pod to decide or to tell it what sort of dreams you want to have. So imagine you're trying to work on a really hard problem to solve. You could seed your dreams so that you go into a space where you're problem solving the thing that you really want to have. And the pod will help you to get into that dream state. It will sort of construct that dream state with you. And essentially you could live like other lives in your dream state.
Holy shit, God, that sounds crazy. That I like a lot. That sounds fucking amazing. Wow. So at night, I think you get around like an hour and a half of rapid eye movement, deep sleep. I don't remember if that's like the right term for it, but I believe it might be around like an hour and a half. If you sleep, for example, 8 hours a night, you only really get like that really deep sleep for a short period of time. So if this sleep pod can get you, into like a rapid eye movement, whatever that fucking term is, for more than an hour and a half, that would greatly reduce the amount of time that you'd have to sleep overall. You could probably go from sleeping 8 hours in a bed to maybe, 2 or 3 hours in the pod a night, potentially, to get like this, like the same benefits.
Correct. So, but it might not just be the rapid eye movement, right? Like the idea is that the pod will scan you and your biometrics and do like at an incredibly fine-grained scale. It will do an assessment of your body and what it requires. And so if you need more deep sleep, then you get more deep sleep. If you need more REM sleep, then you get more REM sleep. It will optimize your sleep cycle for you. So you will just have the perfect sleep every time you get into it. And not only that is you are bathed in a solution of every single nutrient, ingredient, protein, fat, carbohydrate, whatever it is that your body requires, it will have provided to it to complete those processes. Like it is literally going to be like anti-aging. It will be, this will be the future of sleep. You will be able to regenerate and rejuvenate your body better than ever before.
Holy fuck, who's here? The guy. For a second, I thought someone was coming on. I thought someone else was coming on, and for some reason, I thought it was Justin. So before you told me,
no,
I think we talked about this on the pod before, is that you said that if you study, right? Like if you study and then you go to sleep right after studying, a lot of that information that you were studying actually gets solidified into your memory or whatnot because of the neuronal connections. Neuronal, I always fuck that word up. Connections that begin to happen during your sleep, right? So could you imagine, going back to what you said before, you could study and then you could program the AI sleep pod thing to go over your study notes, or just program it to like, I'd like to study for this exam. Let's have a dream about going over the information that I have to know for my exam that's coming up, which would be ridiculous, dude. Ridiculous.
Yeah. You could tell it you want maximum or maximal consolidation of those memories, of that understanding. So like it will turbocharge learning, it will turbocharge healing, it will turbocharge adaptation to whatever you want. It will turbocharge muscle building, it will turbocharge bone density, like it will turbocharge whatever you want. That's the whole idea. Like this is human potential unlocked in a way.
So here is an example.
Yeah, so here's one example
of a sleep pod, but without the gel.
I'll go through a couple. This is another version of the sleep pod that you can imagine. No, it's got the gel. So that within that pod is filled with the gel. See those little sparkles? That's your bioelectric gel.
Yeah.
Now, these are just creations from an image generation model. I don't imagine that there's going to be a bed. The way I imagine it is that you will actually be suspended, right, in this solution. Okay, so you will be in zero gravity. Essentially, you will be weightless. You will be floating within the gel that is filled with those bioelectrics, the nutrients, the electrolytes, all the things that your body needs. So essentially, it will be like the most comfortable sleep you could ever have.
Yeah, I was imagining it. I don't know if it was if it was Dragon Ball Z, where there are scenes where they're in like this liquid gel like pod, and they're upright, but they're like suspended, and they have like this mask on, which allows them to breathe. I think it was that, or I may be thinking of Naruto when Orochimaru had this tank. See if I can find
that's cool.
A picture.
Yeah, they're on to it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I'm trying to remember if it was. It might have been both, I think. But yeah, basically, the one from Naruto, they were using the pod as a way to, I think, rehabilitate.
Yeah, it'll be the same concept, or ultimate regeneration.
Yeah, or even like
a couple of others
on power.
Well, that's what this will be able to do, right? You'll be able to go in and be like, I want to maximize the amount of muscle I can build over this next 8-hour period. And it will go in and do that. So here's a couple other concepts so we can just sort of go through this. Now, again, I don't envisage this being a bed inside the pod. It will just be filled with this bioelectric gel. So here's another couple concepts. You can see yourself sort of sleeping in the orb. But this will essentially be like all you need to repair and recover, regenerate, and essentially stop aging. So here's a couple other concepts.
Oh, this one even has bed covers in it.
Yeah. It's an artifact of the models. But yeah, the way I envisage it is not having a bed in there. You will just be suspended in that gel. So it's a nice idea
makes more
of one.
Sense.
Another nice version of one. So you can program your pod. Yeah. And it'll leverage like the latest and greatest in machine learning, the latest and greatest in bioelectrics and the understanding of that. Nutrient delivery. Here's another cool one.
Yeah, I totally get why Michael Levin is behind this because he's we did a pod out with him a while back now, a few pods ago, talking about the future of medicine and limb regeneration with that bioelectrical stimulation. So it makes sense that it actually makes more sense to do it this way, where you're utilizing this tank nightly, so you are getting that bioelectrical not impedance, but that stimulation.
Correct.
To essentially regenerate your cells on a daily basis.
Exactly. That was exactly what came to my mind when I was reading the papers about how they would put the domes, like the little domes over the frog leg to try and help it regenerate, etc. I was like, well, as humans, we could just optimize sleep, and then you include this in your sleep protocol. That to me makes sense for a mechanism to administer this or to benefit from this technology. So yeah, I think these are going to be freaking ridiculous. Like these sleep pods are going to change the game for a lot of people. So here's another couple of designs that just went through. Exactly. This is sort of opening the door to immortality in my mind. This is how I've been thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that earlier in the pod too, and I think you're right.
Yeah. I'm at like the look at that one. And then these are a little bit more like freaky, futuristic, but the same thing, filled with those bioelectrics.
You would never, I mean, you getting sick would be like very rare. You not feeling well would be very rare. Yeah. Doctor visits would be very, very rare. If,
non-existent, non-existent.
Necessary.
Not even a thing.
And
it would not be a thing.
Just imagine like the entire medical industry, or the whole pharmacology industry, or whatever you call it, the drug industry, man. That would be just largely a thing of the past. Do you think we would completely get away with it from it? Sorry. Like, would we completely get away from medical needs, or you think just maybe 95% of it?
Some people will completely get away from it, but we will still need manufacturing of the bioelectrics. So like the drugs that modulate these ion channels. So we'll still have some of that. But the way we know it today with prescription and all that kind of stuff, that will be a thing of the past, for sure. Absolutely will be a thing of the past. Because if everybody has access to these pods, then there isn't going to be that sickness, that illness, that disease anymore. Getting out of the body's way to have that perfect sleep, to provide everything the body needs while you're at sleep. All the nutrients, getting you in the right phases, optimizing those phases for you to heal and repair and recover. Illness, disease, all of those things will be a thing of the past. They'll look back on, like in the future, we'll look back on this and be like, yeah, that was crazy that they went through all of that. How horrible would that have been? Right? Like, holy shit, they suffered so much back in the day. Because they won't know it. They won't know what it's like to be that way. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. That is crazy. You know, when you see like a space movie and people are traveling to another galaxy that's years away or whatever, and they have to go into this deep sleep while they're traveling. Mm-hmm. Could you see this being used for that as well? Not even for like traveling through space though, but just for someone who, I don't know, for some weird reason would like to just, the economy's kind of fucked up right now. I'm just going to take a 5-year hiatus in my sleep tank and see if things improve for like a weird example.
Potentially, yeah. I don't see a reason why that couldn't be the case. And the other crazy thing is you wouldn't necessarily have to be asleep for 5 years. You could go into a dream state where you were sort of living in an alternate reality. You could just be like, you could have amazing different dreams while that period of time is passing. So it wouldn't just be like, oh, you're asleep, then you're awake kind of vibe. You could have that if you wanted it, but you could also be living during that time, so to speak, exploring dream worlds or alternate realities or, created realms, so to speak. So I think it's entirely possible, something similar to the Matrix, where you can go to sleep in one of these pods and go into a matrix or versions of matrices that you can then sort of exist in whilst you're sleeping.
Can you imagine attempting to do that? Like, in what kind of position would you have to be that you could just decide, I'm just going to sleep for the next 5 years, let's say? Like, let's say you're a wealthy person and you're running a business. You would then have to find somebody that you could trust to run your business for you for the next 5 years to keep the lights on. You know what I mean? And as soon as you go to sleep, buddy who's running your company now knows, well, Polska's out for the next 5 years. And I kind of have my own ideas on how to take this company forward, moving forward. You know what I mean? So it would be like you'd have to be in a very unique position to be able to just say peace out for 5 years. You know what I mean?
Given the current circumstances and current situation, yes. In a few years with machine learning, artificial intelligence, their ability to act in the world, I think that it's going to become increasingly possible. So instead of finding someone else to do that for your business, you could essentially just instantiate, a very highly capable AI or even an AGI to do that for you. And it might even get to the case where most businesses, most companies are just run by AIs or AGIs, and humans are sort of more free to go and do those different things, where we can explore different dream states, we can explore other parts of the universe. You can go on big, long trips out past, out through the galaxy, so to speak, or you can stay on Earth, and in your dreams you could go and explore those places because they've been 3D rendered by AI cameras that have been sent to that planet. Another thing that you could see happening is with robotics progressing the way that robotics is progressing, in the not so distant future, you could essentially go into your pod, go into one of these sleep states. Say you've got a couple of big injuries or you've got some sickness that's going to take a while to repair. So you go in, you go to sleep for that extended period of time. Whilst you're asleep with that, you could essentially have your consciousness uploaded into a robot sleeve that you could then go and do shit with. And that robot could be somewhere physically different to you, and you could be having that experience.
Guy, we talked about this before. See, there's a problem. I see that there's a problem with taking your consciousness and moving it over into a sleeve, like a robot sleeve, because it might not be you. It might not be you having that experience. But then when you put the consciousness back into your body, you would have those memories, but it might not actually be you living those experiences in that moment.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. The way I see it now, after thinking through this and trying to understand this as best as I can, I would say that it is a mapping from your consciousness to that robot and then back. So you would have to have some sort of information transmission system between your consciousness, your dream state, right? Or even, not even consciousness, your subconscious, your dream state, so to speak, and to the robot's controls. So I can fully understand now how if you're in one of the pods and you're in a dream state, it's measuring your neural activity. It can then transmit that neural activity to a robot, which could then be controlling that robot, so that you could be in a dream state and you could also be controlling that robot in your dream state. Which means that the neurons are firing within your brain. So you are, in a sense, having that experience because there is a transmission between your brain state and the robot. and that those brain states, correlate to movement in that robot or activity within that robot. So I can see that happening.
Damn, that makes you kind of nervous, man. Like, because how do you test for that? How do you actually determine if that's like really you? Like, how can someone else, like a scientist observing, how can a scientist determine whether the consciousness was moved over to the sleeve successfully and the sleeve is now experiencing like continuing life, like, as they were in the body? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm not saying that the person's still alive, so they're not dead. I don't see how this would work if they're dead yet. I can't see that working. But if you're still alive and you're in your pod in your dream state, I think that in your dream state, you could also be controlling a robot sleep somewhere else.
Oh, okay. So you're not essentially taking the consciousness out of the brain and placing it in the robot. You're just making a connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Oh,
you're mapping.
Fuck. Yeah.
I can see that working.
Yeah, I can see that working too. That makes sense. Yeah, it's like putting on VR head goggles in a way.
Yeah. Yep.
Damn, that's dope. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That'd be so sick. Yeah, you're in a huge car accident. You're all fucked up. You know what I mean? You just gotta go in this pod, and then boom, in an instant, you're in this sleeve robotic body. You just continue like nothing happened. Just waiting a couple months before your original body's back to optimal health again. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Then they turn the dream off when you're ready. You wake up, your fucking body's good to go. You've had all this fun experience, whatever. You could learn stuff in the meantime. You can wake up better than you were before, and then off to it again.
I'm thinking of like so many weird like movie scenarios. So picture like a movie where that happens, right? Someone gets in a car accident, and it's someone really important. Like it could be like a politician, or I don't know, just someone really important. And then
important.
Perceived as important guy. Yeah. Someone who you want to corrupt, right? Not corrupt, but what's the word? I can't think of the word right now. Infiltrate, that's not the word either. But you got like this politician, right? That's like, he's gonna put forth like a bad policy, let's just say. And then somebody causes an accident which forces him to go into this tank, and now this movie idea is just fucking stupid now. I just realized that anyways, I'll finish the idea, and then we could talk about why it doesn't make any sense, why it's stupid. And then the consciousness gets transferred over into this robotic body, but you could like infiltrate it because it's like a machine, so you could put like a virus in it and sort of hold it hostage and torture it and make it know that once you wake up, you are not going to be putting these policies in place, and you're going to be putting these ones in place. But then you could just do that at gunpoint, or torture him in reality. And if you're going to cause a car accident, I mean, there's just so many stupid crimes around that whole movie scenario. It just doesn't make any sense. So,
I have one scenario where that can make sense. I have one where it can. Okay, so hear me out. Imagine that happens. The person is in their dream state. They're there. You could infiltrate the dream state so that whilst they're in that dream state, their body's repairing. You could essentially expose them to different information, different means, different ideas, different things to subtly change the way that they perceive that situation, so that they end up making a better decision, or the decision that you want them to have. So you could definitely do that. You could infiltrate their dream state. That would be cool. That would also be crazy,
it's like
and
the movie
scary.
Inception.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the movie Inception with Leo. Yeah. So that's a way better idea. You would just have to hack the pod in some sort of way, and then implant like specific dreams that you want them to have.
Yeah. But I also think that a lot of this stuff, it's going to be insane. But can you imagine, right? So just think to yourself, like, what's the best night's sleep you've ever had? Like, how amazing did you feel the next day?
Oh, dude. I know, like, Yeah. There's nothing better than a great night's sleep, bro. That's one of the best things. And for me personally, they happen, but they don't happen all the time. Like, you know, so I don't get like the best night of sleep all the time because I'm always thinking a lot. So that's like my. What
Yeah.
were you gonna
So
say?
imagine if like imagine the compounding effect of just having the best night's sleep every night. Like imagine waking up almost fully repaired, fully recovered, full of energy. Your mind is fresh as it can possibly be because you've consolidated all of the learnings from the day before, the day before that, the day before that. Imagine that being your daily life. Like, can you imagine the level of human productivity that we unlock with that? Like, there are so many people. Like, there's an epidemic of bad sleep, right? Like, so many people function on less than ideal amounts of sleep. They also function on terrible quality sleep. So many people take sleep tablets to go to sleep, which is not real sleep. It's not the same as having real sleep. Imagine the levels of human productivity that are lost. Like imagine the quality of life of our society. Imagine the direction that our society could go in if we had this every night.
So what would happen to you? You think? Like, let's use you as a case study. If that was occurring, where you were getting the best night's sleep every single night, what kind of person would you become? Who would you be?
I would be the best version of myself. I would. It's like it's almost unlimited potential. Like imagine being able to I practice a lot of these things. I try and get very good quality sleep. Like I have a whole routine, etc. Like, and I make sure, for memory consolidation, I'm pretty good at recalling things. Like I've got a good memory. I can learn things quite quickly. I'm not a savant. I'm not a genius. I'm not any of those things. But I've been able to really improve my performance, both physically and mentally, by optimizing these things. By working on getting them better and better and better over time. And it's made a huge difference to my life. Like it's unlocked a lot of my potential, right? If I had perfect stuff, it's crazy to think how productive you could be, right? Like, I read a book yesterday, The Anthology of Balaji. Fantastic book. I'll include a link in the description. An amazing book. Balaji Srinivasan, the early Bitcoin guy, CTO of Coinbase, sold a biomedical company for 375 million. He's a gangster. And anyway, The Anthology of Balaji is a great book. And I read it yesterday, like the whole book. I would love to be able to have perfect memory recall for all of the information in that book. I won't have perfect memory recall because, all of those processes aren't optimized, but I've got some pretty good recall from that book. But can you imagine just being able to ingest knowledge and ingest information and then like almost have it perfect in your mind? Like it would be a game changer. It's like
Do
limitless,
you
right?
think
Think
you
about
could?
limitless.
Oh, what was that? Is that the one with the medication they take and their
Yeah.
brain sort of?
Yeah.
But how did that work again? They would take this medication or this drug, and then suddenly they were able to access larger parts of their brain or something, or
Yeah.
more of their
NZT.
brain,
The
use
way
more of
that
this
they sold it,
capacity.
in the movie was you typically there's that myth that people only use 10% of their brain. In the movie, they say 20%, so only 20% of the brain. And then if you take NZT, which is the drug in the movie, you can use 100% of your brain. And that's essentially what it's like. It's like unlocking your potential. That's what it really is. Where we've been limited by our lifestyles and our access, our technology and lifestyles. And by doing this, by having the future of sleep, by having these pods, you are unlocking all of that potential. It is essentially becomes unlimited. There is no bounds to what you can do.
Would you be concerned that you wouldn't be able to stay level-headed if you were always full of energy, retaining information, with this by optimizing your sleep? Would you be concerned about that at all,
No,
you think?
no way.
No?
I want this. I want to make this. This is this. I would like to build these things. I want this to exist. You currently cannot buy this with money. I would like to make this. I think this is the future of humanity in a sense. Like this is what unlocks so many different things. This unlocks human
Right,
potential
but
massively.
yeah. No, I get that. I get that. And I know you're very, you're very positive, and your outlook on things is always very, I don't know, you put it a better way than I have, but you're super positive. But I, I'm just trying to think of what a negative of that could be, and it's possible that you might lose the ability to be level-headed. Like if you're functioning optimally all the time, then you're going to forget what it's like to have a bad day. You're going to forget what it's like to be a little bit, bummed out. You're going to forget what it's like to have a little bit of anxiety. You're going to be always just, 100%, 100%, 100%, just like full of energy and mental capacity all the time. Like you might lose your way a little bit. You might forget what it's like to be human, because sometimes we need those times of being uncomfortable, which is fucking normal, to then appreciate and enjoy being, good. You know what I mean? Or feeling good. But if you're optimizing your sleep to always feel good, like, are you gonna then, become less level-headed in any way?
Yeah. So I can understand where you're coming from with that, but I think that could be true for some people, but it broadly wouldn't be. So what if you just get used to feeling that way? That is your new normal, right? But that becomes the new normal. We've raised the bar, so that now becomes the normal. I don't think that because you have perfect sleep and you have this full regeneration that you still won't have bad days. I think that that'll still happen because the world isn't perfect. Things get complicated and it's messy. So there'll still be bad days. There'll still be times when things don't go to plan and whatever else. So you'll still have that. It won't make everything perfect, but what it will do is allow you to, regenerate, rejuvenate, and revitalize your body every day, so that you're running, like you're physically and mentally at the best you can be, so to speak. The biggest problem I see with this, and this really is the number one problem, is that people might not die. And that really could be the biggest problem, because you could have people that get into positions of power or whatever. And, one of the reasons why we've made so much progress over time is because people die. Like, they say, like, progress happens in science, one dead scientist at a time, so to speak. Because the gatekeepers, before the pod, we were talking about boomers, right? They've got a different way of being. Okay. But that's also that currently exists. The reason why it's been beneficial that people do die and that the new cycles can create is that it helps to drive that innovation. But with this sleep technology, maybe that can also help with the progression of technology, because potentially, healing the bodies, rejuvenating their bodies and their cells, being able to optimize the dream state, being able to seed certain dream states, that could also continue the growth of those people. So it isn't that people get stuck in a set number of ways. With perfect sleep, and these sleep pods, maybe that helps those people to continue growing, and it sort of sidesteps that problem that we currently have.
Only if they want to, though, right? Because they could choose a different route.
Absolutely.
Like someone who,
absolutely.
who's into. Yeah. Okay. So I agree, though. It could really open the door for people to grow as individuals as well. But there's also going to be a subset of people where it could just make them, worse and worse, depending on what they would like to visualize in their dream state. So if that person is in a position of power, that could be really dangerous. But I do think more so than not, you would see people evolving, because I think that would be like the cool thing, right? Is people tapping into that side of it, trying to become better as an individual, because they're seeing that it's become a lot easier to do so, and they're seeing like a lot of people around them doing it. And I think deep down inside, like naturally, people are good. I think sometimes our environment corrupts us, but I think naturally, like most people, like maybe 99%, do want to be good people, and they do strive to sort of go in that direction. And for some people, it might not be something that they want right away. But I think in the long run, it usually probably could be.
Yeah, no, so look, I agree. And a crazy thing to think about is like how much of those people being bad or mean or anything else is because they have shitty sleep, right? Shitty lifestyles, and their bodies are sick and diseased, right? So imagine getting rid of all of that. Potentially that gets them out of their own way, right? And it actually unlocks their potential in that positive direction. So, we've discussed this on the pod a bunch of times, but, there's a correlation between the time of day that you get sentenced and the length of the sentence you get. Because, when people get hungry, they'll give longer sentences. After they're just eaten, they're going to be more generous. Imagine how many horrible things happen because of lack of sleep, right? How many doctors make mistakes because they didn't sleep well the night before, or that they're undernourished, or their bodies are sick. And so that's affecting their ability to make decisions. Like, it's just like everything gets better because of this. Like, it is so fundamental. Sleep is so important in terms of repairing, rejuvenating, and consolidating memories and rejuvenating the body, improving that to what it truly could be, really unlocks so much of human potential, and it minimizes so many errors across so many spaces. Like, pilots aren't allowed to drink diet soda because it can cause narcolepsy. If a pilot doesn't get a good night's sleep, how responsive can they be? It affects your reaction time. It affects your mood. It affects how reactive you're going to be. Like, there's so many things that this touches. It touches almost everything to do with the human. What it does essentially touch everything to do with the human.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that kind of goes against my previous point where I said that you might lose the ability to be level-headed because like what you were saying, a person who doesn't get a good night's sleep, who stays up a lot of the times, has a very unhealthy sleep routine, that person is more likely to be in a bad mood, make bad decisions, maybe, have different types of mental illnesses due to the lack of sleep over a chronic period of time. Whereas a person who dedicates, like currently, like with our current technology, is dedicating to having like really good sleep and a good sleep cycle, and also doing things to optimize their sleep, that person is going to be less likely to be in a bad mood, less likely to make mistakes at work. But
Correct.
in the pod, it's not that it would just make you unlevel-headed. It would just take you to the next level where you're making even less mistakes and being in a bad mood even less of the time than prior. So I agree. Yeah, that's crazy.
I think this is the craziest thing but this is like a sort of indirect way to massively improve the quality of society and humanity. Like, getting this sleep technology, the future of sleep with these bioelectrics and having this full repair and this memory consolidation, really, it does unlock human potential. But it could be the most important technology of this time, right? Beyond AI, right? Utilizing AI to bring this into fruition, because it really helps to unlock each person's potential, true potential.
Yeah, like even currently, like sleep is the key to so many things, and optimizing that you're right, it would unlock so many possibilities. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
How many traffic incidents, how many people die every year because somebody didn't get a good night's sleep the night before, or they were tired, right? Or because they didn't get a good night's sleep the night before, or 2 nights before that, or 3 nights before that, their reaction time was slower. And so that then they made the crash. How many errors occur because of poor quality sleep? How many lifestyle diseases exist because of poor quality sleep? Like, how many people are obese and overweight because of sleep apnea, because they're not getting a good night's sleep? How much chronic disease is actually related to poor quality sleep, right? All of these things, like, you solve for this, then you'll start to see, okay, how much of that was down to sleep? And I would bet a lot of money, I'd wager a lot on this, that there's a huge amount, like way more than we currently think, is actually down to poor quality sleep. And by optimizing that, or improving that, unlocking its true potential by being able to fully regenerate, rejuvenate, and consolidate during that nighttime phase, or during that sleep phase, I think it would solve huge amounts of downstream problems.
Fuck, guy, you're right, dude. You're right. Like, I'm just like realizing how big the space could be. Like, it would be, damn, it would just solve an insane amount of problems. And I don't even think a lot of people realize that, for example, if you go to the gym today, right, and you're attempting to burn calories, you're actually burning more calories during sleep time than you did working out. Like, that's when your body is recovering, and that's when the fat loss happens. That's when the muscle growth happens. It's not necessarily like while you're working out, but it's when you're sleeping and your body is forced to recover from the workout you had that day. And that is where you're utilizing energy or having the great amount of energy expenditure occurring is during sleep.
Yeah, that's it. That's when the consolidation is happening. You put the stimulus in at the gym, it tells it signals to your body, it uses those muscles, there's damage, all of that stuff occurs. And then at nighttime is when your body sort of shuts down, it can get in, it can repair those muscles, it uses all of that energy to complete those processes. It's like having the builders on the working site, they're all at work at nighttime. That's when they're really getting their job done because they can, because you're not moving the body, you're not utilizing all these other processes. It's so damn important. Like, if you just trained, but you didn't sleep, you wouldn't grow muscle. Like, it's just that, it's that simple. Like, it is so fundamentally important. It's such an important process for the human body. And to the fact that we haven't, tried to massively improve this, and we haven't had a breakthrough in sleep for so long, shows us that there is huge untapped potential here.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm actually mad excited about this guy. Hopefully, hopefully Michael Levin has a working prototype soon, guy.
No, yeah. Well, he's not into. No one. I've not heard anyone talk about this. So this is when I was thinking about this is I was thinking about like how important sleep is. I was also thinking about Levin's work. I was reading his papers over the last few weeks, and realizing that like that little capsule thing is not a great delivery mechanism. Like, ideally, you would just want everybody to bathe in bioelectrics each day, right? Like, you'd want it to be a continuous process.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if you combine this with sleep, you could optimize sleep, and then you would have these bioelectrics as well. That, to me, seems like a very complementary setup, right? So combining those two things together, to me, seems like the sensible thing to do. So if anyone wants to build this, reach out to us, because I'm down on this, and I have a whole schematic that I've started to build out.
Fuck yeah. Okay, well, a question though. How would you correct for circadian rhythm? Because if you're sleeping, let's just use the example of 3 hours a night. How would you then correct for circadian rhythm? Because it would be, it wouldn't be natural.
So I don't think you would just sleep for 3 hours a night. The way I see this initially starting is it would just be a normal sleep cycle, but it would make sure that you get the ideal amount of sleep through the phases at different amounts of each phase, but the ideal total time with the ideal quality of sleep initially. And then over a long enough time horizon, so maybe 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years, right? Eventually we would gather enough data, and the machine learning or AI would start to learn enough that maybe we wouldn't need to have the same circadian rhythm that we've always had. So maybe there's another rhythm that the cells can get on that isn't the circadian rhythm, that isn't the one that we've evolved with. The reason we have that rhythm is because the sun rises and the sun sets, and we've sort of evolved over time to sort of mirror that. But given this new technology and our ability to control that might not be the only way or the only rhythm that you can have.
Right. And I guess the nutrients inside of the capsule you sleep in with the gel would be adequately nutritious. No, what's the word? Anyways, but adequately providing
nutriting, adequately nourishing,
nourishing. Nice.
Yeah,
would be adequately nourishing your body. That maybe that would help with correcting circadian rhythm. Just if we were to use a 3-hour sleep cycle example, it's possible that you could hijack that system because you're so adequately
nourished.
Nourished, yeah. And then also maybe alongside that, you could artificially stimulate your circadian rhythm, because if circadian rhythm, I don't think it's solely correlated with the sun. It might be. Maybe there's other factors, but the sun is one of them. So you would just have to artificially create like sunlight, when you wake up. So you could potentially alter your circadian rhythm. And I guess that sort of happens when you travel. Like if you go to the other side of the world where there's a 12-hour time difference, then you have to readjust your circadian rhythm, right?
Correct.
So I'm assuming we have the ability to do that. So then we could probably readjust the circadian rhythm other ways as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So also think about in those pods. So when you sleep, it would be completely dark, right? Because we know how light affects cells and how light is a signal for our bodies to wake up, right? So you would have completely dark while you're going through this. You would have, noise isolation so that you're in complete sort of sensory deprivation. And then all of these processes can be happening. And then to wake up, you could think that the pod could illuminate your body with the most nourishing light frequencies, okay? To ideally wake your cells up and then get you ready for the day. That's one aspect I want to talk about. Now, the next thing to think about is if we're populating or we're, hydrating this gel with nutrients to, nourish your body, the proteins, the fats, and potentially carbohydrates, to replenish your cells, well, then you can sort of see that there goes nutrition becomes less of a thing in terms of eating. Like we might not necessarily eat the same way that we've historically eaten. Right? It might just be something you do as a social interaction or for pleasure in a sense, which is what most people do now anyway. But it's less of a thing. So then you take this to the extreme, you think through this and you go, holy shit, we end up looking like fucking aliens, right? Because the less that we need to digest, the less nutrition that we need to ingest and then digest, well, then the need for a digestive system goes away. So then our waists will get smaller and smaller and smaller. Our heads will get bigger and bigger and bigger because we're just increasing our brain capacity, right? The size of our brain, the amount of computations we can do because we're nourishing that. But we have less of a need for a digestive system. So you'll actually see that there will be a change in the way that people evolve. Like you were saying, we'll evolve towards a different thing because of technology. Now, to a lot of people, that will sound really scary. Like, we'll stop becoming human. We haven't always been human, all right? There's been a constant changing over the time, right? And this is, if you think about it, this could just be a progression.
That's a good point. Because we weren't always human. That's right. And it is what it is. And it would just happen over such a long time scale that it would essentially go unnoticed. You would just have books of what humans used to look like. And people would be like, oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah, I think this will happen a lot quicker. Everything is accelerating. So this will happen faster than the previous changes. Like it took, hundreds of thousands, millions of years, hundreds of millions of years for all of these other changes to happen. With technology now, this is all increasing. Essentially, we're at the beginning of infinity. Things are going to look crazy in shorter timescales. So I can imagine this happening over, a few generations now, because there's just like, if your body is getting everything it needs from this gel each night, right, then it down-regulates the need for maintaining certain aspects of your body, certain expressions of the DNA, so to speak.
Where's the weirdest place that you've ever slept before?
Jeez, that's a good question. Weirdest place I've ever slept?
Yeah, like the most obscure place. Have you ever had a night where you were like, oh, fuck, not making it home or I'm going to have to sleep here?
Have you got one off the top of your head while I just pause for a moment and think?
I mean, I slept at a train station before because I had to wait for a train. That happened in Germany. So I slept like at the train station for like 6 hours. Yeah. But what else? I've slept like outside drunk before. Like I got so fucked up, blackout drunk that I woke up in a park with a friend that we just slept there. I woke up in a jail cell once actually.
What the hell?
Yeah, because what happened that night? Okay, this is no, wait, what happened that night? It started off with, a few too many drinks. And then, oh, dude, this happened so long ago. I'm trying to remember. Uh, okay. No, that wasn't it. Can't remember, but I think I did some property damage. Like, I think we were in London. Yeah, it was in London. It was in London, Ontario. And, I ended up smashing this window at this cafe, and I don't even know why I did it. I was just like so fucking drunk, like out of my mind. And I was 19 at the time, and I smashed this window, and apparently like there was police like right across the street from me, and they took me to jail. And I woke up in the cell that morning, and then yeah, I had to pay for the window, and I didn't really get in trouble for that. Actually, they were really cool about it, but I did end up paying for that window. But yeah, so train station, park, jail cell.
Oh, that's pretty crazy. I don't have anything anywhere comparable to that. Like, I think like one of the, the most obscure place I've had to sleep was like in the bush because I had a flat tire.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And
On a
you couldn't get
motorbike.
back home. So oh, really?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're out like in the boonies, got a flat
Yeah.
tire. Like, well, fuck, no one around to help. So I'm gonna have to like just stay here for
That's
the night.
right.
Well,
Yeah.
that's pretty
But
dope.
then
That's pretty dope.
up mad early and then bounce. But that's literally probably it. Like every other time it'd be like, I'm pretty good at finding a bed, dude. Like, I honestly, but like, this is crazy. So for the last maybe, 12, 13, probably longer, 14 years, I've been conscious of sleep. I really try to make sure I get great night's sleep. And a lot of my life revolves around like, making sure I can get a good night's sleep. That kind of makes sense.
Have you ever been able to fall asleep in a hammock?
Oh yeah, big time, dude. I've spent many sleeps in a hammock. I fucking love hammock sleeping. Really?
I'm so jealous, dude. I've been so jealous of people who are able to fall asleep in a hammock. I can't.
What the hell?
I don't know why.
That's crazy. Not comfortable. I actually. Oh, you got to get the right hammock, dude. You got to get the right hammock. I used to have a hammock set up in my backyard, at our old house. I strung it between two trees, and each day I would go out and I would have a 20-minute nap in the hammock.
Really?
And I actually have fallen asleep in that hammock in the afternoon for like multiple hours and woke up. I was like, holy shit, that was way too long. But yeah, I loved having a sleep in the hammock. To me, it is one of the most comfortable places. But you've got to get the right hammock. If you just get one that has like the one point, they get too cocooned. You got to get one that has like it disperses the weight across a board or an object so that it's a bit flatter, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that was my issue, is that it wasn't between like two things far apart enough, or it wasn't like long enough, because I always felt like my knees getting uncomfortable, my legs getting uncomfortable. I'm like, fuck, this sucks, dude. How do people sleep in these things?
Yeah, the setup makes a big difference.
Yeah, I guess that would be it.
But don't worry, you won't have to worry about this in the future, because we will have the future of sleep pods that will nourish, repair, rejuvenate your body, optimize your dream state, consolidate memories, and lead you to be the best person you could possibly be. Get rid of disease and essentially, prolong your health span indefinitely. I look forward to that. I cannot wait for these things to be a thing.
You think hotels, Airbnbs are going to be providing these services as well? I guess they would have to at some point.
On a long enough timescale, yes. Initially, this is only going to be available to the super rich. This is going to be a very expensive technology to get off the ground. It'll only be available to the people who have the financial resources to do this. But ideally, over a long enough time, it's available to everybody.
Hell yeah, man! All right, dude.
But yeah, that was a great pod. Very good pod.
Sick.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or send us an email about it. If you want to build this, also get in touch if you think this is a cool idea. If you've got a shit ton of money and you want to throw it towards us so that we can get it off the ground, then go for it. Thank you, Polska. Have a lovely evening. Thank you very much, Guy. And peace. Love you too, Guy. Bye.